Hey guys, and welcome back to the Elevate HD podcast. I'm your host, Holly Davidge, as always. And today I wanted to come at you with a solo episode all about comparison because none of us are immune to it, and all of us are guilty of comparing ourselves to others, whether that's how we look, our success through our careers, or our physiques, or our own fitness progress. I think it's really, really common for this to happen. And although it's impossible to just completely avoid it, and I can't just tell you to stop comparing yourself because it's not as easy as that, I do think there are tools you can use to navigate it and to help you manage it a bit better. So, the first point I wanted to make is if you are scrolling on social media and on Instagram and you're seeing all of these athletes and coaches and fitness influencers in amazing shape, they're shredded year round, they have a six pack year round, they have massive glutes, massive delts, and you are comparing yourself to them, feeling that you're not good enough, you're not doing as well as them, you're not as successful as them, just remember that you have curated your own feed for that to be your Instagram. So, what I mean by that is if you weren't in the fitness industry and you were just a normal person and you were into reading and you followed a lot of people who read books, you would not have to scroll through your Instagram and see all of these physiques. You would be seeing other books, book clubs, people doing reading reviews, all that kind of thing. So the fact that you scroll through your Instagram and you're seeing lots and lots of physiques that you maybe look up to or aspire to be like, that is because you are following those individuals. And if they are suggested posts, they are suggested to you by Instagram because you've been engaging with that sort of content. So I think that's the first thing to remember, is that you are kind of living in an echo chamber right now on Instagram, that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. Like, the more you engage with things, the more you like and comment and share certain types of content, the more you're going to see it. So I think that is something to consider. Like, if you scroll through your feed and you're feeling overwhelmed, or you feel like you're not good enough, or you're comparing yourself to other people and it's getting too much for you, consider changing your feed. And this might take a bit of time for the algorithm to realize what you're doing, but it's okay to unfollow influencers or coaches or athletes that make you feel bad about yourself. You should not be going on Instagram and scrolling through and instantly feeling like you're less than or you're not good enough just because you see these posts from other people. Give yourself permission to unfollow or mute people that don't make you feel good about yourself. If they have a more successful business than you, if they are doing better in life than you, if they have a better physique than you, in your opinion, and you just don't want that negativity, then just don't have it there. Unfollow them, mute them. It's absolutely fine. No one cares. And at the end of the day, it is your Instagram and you go on it to take time out of your busy day, whether that's through your job or your business or whatever you're doing. You're not going on Instagram to purposely feel bad about yourself. So don't help that happening. Like, help to prevent that from happening by curating your feed to suit you. Follow people you like, follow people you get on with, follow people you find inspiring. Feel free to not just follow social media content that is fitness related. You can follow your hobbies. Like, if you play the piano, if you're into running, if you're into reading, if you're into cooking, follow those channels as well. And it will kind of break up your feed a little bit for you. So you're not feeling that every single post you see is a shredded physique or an incredible physique or someone that you want to be like and feel that you're not good enough to be like. I think it's really important to do that. Like, I have started following like my book club page. I've started following different people that I like in terms of just inspiration, but not people necessarily that have physique related goals. And just kind of breaking up your feed like that, I think, is a really good way to help to dilute it in a way, and to dilute the amount of content you see with people who just have these like incredible physiques that make you compare yourself against them. Second of all, is it's really, really important to remember that the people who are going viral on Instagram and who have hundreds and thousands of followers and have loads of clients and who are Instagram famous are there because they're unusual. They are the genetic anomalies. They are the elite. They are the exception to the rule. That is why they are so popular. And obviously, there's going to be exceptions to this, of course. But for the most part, the people that you see that have all of those followers and have incredible physiques, it's because it's unusual. And the majority of us, 95% of us, are the norm. Like, if you look in terms of the standard deviation, most of us will sit in the middle. You're going to have genetic anomalies on either side that are either, find it really, really hard to get in shape, or find it super easy to get in shape and build muscle really easily. Most of the rest of us sit in the middle. So you are in the majority if you find that you are just ticking by and feeling average, because by definition, you are average. Everyone pretty much is average except for those people on either end. So I think that is really important to remember, is that they are famous for a reason, because they are genetic anomalies. People get to the Olympia because they are genetic anomalies. And most of the time, everyone else is bang average. And that is really hard to see when you're on social media, because, as I said, you are following a lot of people that you look up to. So of course you're going to be overwhelmed and bombarded with all these incredible physiques. But I remember way back before I started training, I went to Ibiza years and years ago with my friend. And I think I was on a little bit of a weight loss journey at the time. And I was so worried that I was going to get to Ibiza and get onto that beach and feel like I wasn't in shape and look at all these incredible bodies and feel bad about myself because I wasn't lean enough, or I wasn't in shape, or I felt fat, quote unquote, beside these people. And I was so worried about it. And then I went to Ibiza, I stepped on the beach and I looked around, and it blew my mind, because everyone was different. There were all shapes, all sizes, all styles, all types of bikinis, all types of swimsuits. Like, not everyone was super duper lean and shredded. There was a huge array of body types, which was incredible. And it was so nice to see that the beach was so inclusive and just involved everyone. And no one was looking at anyone else. No one was comparing themselves to anyone else. No one looked like they were covering up or hiding anything. Everyone was just enjoying the way they were. And I think that's really important to remember, is that when you're on the beach, or when you're walking down the street, or when you're in a normal situation, everyone is different and most people aren't shredded. Because even if you think of a bikini competitor going into prep and getting stage lean, it is so hard to get stage lean and to get in that level of condition. So for a normal person to achieve that on their own, without a coach, without the knowledge of nutrition and training, and to keep it there and maintain it there, that is very, very difficult and nearly impossible. So the people that are able to achieve these lean physiques and stay like that year round are the ones who do it as a full-time job. Maybe they're a full-time influencer or content creator. They obviously had to have a coach at their side. Maybe they are a coach themselves. They have that knowledge and awareness. So it's really unusual. So remember, when you are feeling, self-conscious about yourself, that you are normal and pretty much everyone else isn't shredded. And we need to remember that being shredded year round also isn't necessarily healthy for you in terms of your immune health, your hormonal health, your brain fog, and your mental capacity and your functioning and everything like that. It's not conducive to a healthy, productive person to be that lean. So we shouldn't strive for it, and we definitely shouldn't strive to maintain it year round. Obviously, there are going to be exceptions in terms of if you want to step on stage, or if you want to set the goal of a photo shoot, but these things are short-term goals. You achieve them, and once you've achieved them, you reverse out and gain a bit more body fat and go back to being a normal functioning human again. So just remember, being a normal healthy body fat is by definition normal. Being shredded is not all that. And the people who are shredded year round, they either have to work really, really hard to maintain that, be very strict with their diet, very strict with their training and their expenditure and their cardio, or they are just the genetic freaks that just do it easily. And there's very, very few of them, I can promise you. And if they do, they are very lucky, but it is not common and it is rarer than you think. So I think that is an important consideration. One thing I think is very easy to convince yourself of when you are on social media is, oh, maybe if I compete, that means I will get lean enough and I'll finally love my body and I will be in the best shape of my life and all my problems will be solved. And that is definitely not the case. You can't really mask your problems and your body image issues and your self-consciousness through doing a prep. If anything, it will just highlight and reveal all the problems that were kind of lying beneath the surface in the first place. And if you do have any issues around food or body image, they will probably make them worse. I know a lot of people, when they go into prep, realize that they are much more body conscious than they thought, especially as they get leaner. You stop being able to see yourself objectively. You start, seeing things that aren't there. You think you are bigger than you are. You can't see the facts or see the reality of how shredded you actually are. So trying to cover up the body image issues and whatever you're going through with a prep is not a good decision. And especially when it comes to comparison, that was really hard for me to say. Doing a bikini prep or a bodybuilding prep or whatever category you're doing, you are by definition going to be compared. You are going to be judged on stage in a lineup of all these other competitors who have dieted for as long as you, who have worked as hard as you. And the judge's job is to look at everyone, literally compare yourself by physiques. They don't care about who you are. They don't care about your personality. They don't care about your ambitions and success in life. All they are looking at is your physique and whose physique is the best on the day, or whose physique matches the criteria the best. So if you're already struggling with comparison, this is going to be a really difficult thing for you to have to deal with, because you are going to be compared, you are going to be judged, you are going to be whittled down to purely your physique on the day. And while some people love it, obviously I do, I love competing and I can kind of detach my worth from the judging score, it is still very difficult to do that. And I think it does take a bit of time, especially as a first timer. I think it takes time to get used to the fact that you must detach your physique from your personality and see it more as a presentation of your hard work rather than an expression of who you are as an individual. Because you could be the most lovely, the most successful, the most kind person in the world, but if you don't have the correct physique on the day, you won't win, and the judges are never going to see anything else about you. So it is important to kind of detach yourself from that, which is why, as someone who is interested in stepping on stage and they're not sure whether it's right for them, I always suggest doing a photo shoot prep first. I think it is an incredible way to iron out the niggles, see if you enjoy it, kind of test the water without committing to getting on stage, being judged in front of everyone, having all of that overwhelm on show day, and potentially coming away not with the result that you wanted. So if you go into a photo shoot prep, you can kind of mimic exactly what a real prep is going to be like. You may not need to get as lean, because the stage photos and being on stage under those lights, you need to be very lean to see enough of the visible definition. And sometimes stages can just make you look softer than you actually are. So in a photo shoot, you don't have to be that lean, obviously. The main advantage of a photo shoot is that you are not going to be compared to anyone else on the day. You are only on your own up there. You have employed a photographer whose only job is to make you look good on the day. It's in your best interest and their best interest for you to look good, because obviously they want their photos to look good. You can't lose. You literally can't lose. You'll never come away from the day feeling, oh God, I lost to this person. I should have looked better. I wish I was leaner, because you are going to be happy with the photos on the day. And the photographer's job is to put you in your best light, put you in your best poses and your best angles, and bring out the best in you and your physique. And I just think it's an incredible way to celebrate the hard work you put into your physique without having to worry about the judgment of the judges, the comparisons, switching positions on stage to get a better look at you, doing all those poses to see who really is the best. You don't have to worry about any of that, because you can come to the shoot, you can celebrate the hard work, whether you are stage lean or whether you are off season, it doesn't matter. You don't need to reach a certain level of criteria, leanness wise or muscularity wise. You can just show up as yourself and enjoy the day. And honestly, my photo shoot days are some of my most enjoyable, favorite days I can even think of. I have done them full blown off season in the depths of my improvement phases, and I've done them stage lean, and I love all of them equally, because they all show different types of hard work and commitment to different phases. And as we know, for physique development, you need to spend time building muscle where you're in a surplus and gaining muscle and body fat. Of course, that is inevitable. And you need to spend time cutting and dieting phases to pull the body fat off to reveal the muscle. So both phases are equally important, and I do think both phases should be celebrated and documented, and that's why I always recommend people doing photo shoots first instead of stepping on stage. But if you do decide to step on stage, I think this is a difficult one. And for me, for example, like I've been competing for over 6 years now, and I've done relatively well, but I have not been a showstopper where I have literally blasted out onto the scene and won every single show. That is not the case, and that has not happened to me. However, there are people that I know that, go into their first year of competing, they win every single show, they get overalls, they get swords, and they may even get a pro card on their first attempt, which is mad. And to be honest, I do find that difficult sometimes. Like, I do watch these people getting overalls and swords and pro cards and thinking, oh my God, like, why can't I do that? Like, why am I not good enough for that? But you do have to bring yourself back down to earth and remind yourself, like, there's a reason that this is incredible, and there's a reason that they are being celebrated so much and everyone is talking about them. It's because that is not the norm, and that is not the usual thing that happens. It's very normal to go into your first season and not place in your first show. It's very normal to not place in your first season. It's very normal to have to work yourself up to that first place. And to be honest, like, I am now looking back and grateful for the fact that I haven't won every show, because it has had to make me be scrappy. I have had to work very hard. I have had to dedicate myself. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've also learned from them. And if it weren't for the placings and the judges' feedback and the information on how I could improve, I would probably just rest on my laurels, be complacent, and coast through life. And me as an individual, I am not a complacent person. I love to be driven. I love to be determined. I love to put my mind to something and work hard at it. And I do feel that when that hard work pays off, it is so satisfying. So I am grateful for my placings, and I'm grateful that I've had to work hard to get up there, because it has taught me so many lessons, not only for myself, but also for my clients who are stepping onto the stage as well. It teaches them grit, and it teaches them to persevere even when the day doesn't go their way, because that is not the end and that's not the conclusion of the story. You can keep going. You can decide if the story continues and if you turn the page and start a new chapter. And for example, this is something that I experienced during my competing season. So my first competing season, I didn't place in my first show. I came third in my second show, and I didn't place in my third show. And my third show was PCA Norwich in 2018. And I was so embarrassed, like, honestly, because I'd been dieting for so long. I had literally no muscle left. I looked so scrawny on stage. In the comparisons, I was put beside the girl who came first, and she was an absolute tank and she looked incredible. And I was just so mortified that I went away feeling really disheartened and really kind of disappointed in myself. But I didn't give up. So obviously, I took some time off. I did a 2019 season. I did mostly well. I came first in one show. I came third in a couple of shows. And then I took a huge amount of time off. I took 3 years off. And I was going to come back to PCA, and I was determined to come back to PCA because I didn't go back the last season. I still felt a bit reserved about it. I still felt doubt. I was like, well, if I did PCA first time and I didn't place, if I do it a second time and don't place, it's going to be so embarrassing. So I didn't really have the nerve to do it my second season. But my third season, I was like, I am going to do it. Whatever happens, happens. If they don't like me, then I'm just not for them. But I'm not going to use it as a reflection of myself and my own abilities as a person, because PCA is just one criteria, but Two Bros has another criteria, FitX has another criteria, NFM has another criteria. There's so many different federations that if they don't like me, then that is fine. So I decided to go for it. I did PCA Murcia in October of last year, and I came third, which I know to some people would be like, well, you didn't win. But to me, that was just as good as winning, because to go from not placing, not getting first call outs, not getting a look in. I remember going up to the judges at the end of the first time I did PCA, and they were like, you look over dieted, you look too skinny, you look tired on stage. And I was really embarrassed about that feedback, to be honest. So to go from that to getting first call outs and a third place I was ecstatic. And to be honest, when I put the comparison photos side by side of the last time I did it versus the first time I did it, I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe I did this. And to me, that was the biggest win of all. So I wasn't comparing my success to others on the stage. I was comparing myself to myself. And it honestly, I could have left on a high on that prep with that, because it just meant so much to me that I could see, not only see the visual changes, but have the confirmation that I had made the improvements. The judges noticed and they saw it and they appreciated that I came back and I got better, and I took the time away to make the improvements. And that is something I think that you should take on board, is don't compare your success to other people, because we are all on different journeys. We all have different starting points. We all have different privileges and hindrances. So no one is starting from the same place. We're all starting from different phases. The only accurate comparison you can make is comparing yourself now to yourself before and yourself now to yourself in the future, because that is the only fair race, because you are you, and you know where your starting point is, and you know where you've come from, and you know where you need to be, and you know what you need to do to get there. So stop focusing on comparing yourself to your friends or influencers or other athletes or other competitors that are doing really well, because it's useless. Like, what is that going to do? Like, wasting time focusing on other people's journeys, what is that going to do when you could be focusing that time on your own self development? What can I do to be better? What can I do today to be 1% better than yesterday? That is a bigger question to ask yourself, and focus on yourself and your own abilities and your own tasks that you need to do to get you to where you need to be, instead of focusing on others, because it is a pointless exercise that is not going to get you anywhere and is just going to waste your time and make you feel bad about yourself. So that is the main thing that I wanted to say there. So yeah, in conclusion, comparison is a completely normal thing to experience. You usually do it on social media when you're scrolling through feeds of people you follow. So don't be afraid to meet people. Don't be afraid to unfollow people if they make you feel bad about yourself. Your Instagram should make you feel inspired and lifted and good about yourself and a break from your humdrum life. So don't allow it to drag you down and make you feel negative about your own experience. If you're nervous about self comparison or comparison with other people, do a photo shoot instead of a show first, to make sure that you can, first of all, handle the diet, and second of all, enjoy yourself and your own progress, and document your own journey first before you roll into being compared on a stage versus everyone else. And just remember that everyone on the street, normal humans on holiday in Ibiza, wherever you are, in a club, in a bar, in a restaurant, there's all shapes and sizes there. You're not going to go into a restaurant or a bar or a club and see everyone shredded. That is just not the case, because we know getting lean is very, very hard. So for a normal person to do it without a coach and without the knowledge is nearly impossible. So remember that all these people that you see on Instagram that stay shredded year round, first of all, they probably do it for a job and they probably get paid to do that. Second of all, they are probably genetic anomalies who can stay that lean year round. And third of all, they probably work very, very hard to get there, most of them anyway, and to stay there, because it's not easy. It's one thing to get there, it's another thing to stay there. And yeah, just compare yourself to yourself. Where were you last year and where do you want to be next year? How far along are you on the trajectory towards where you want to be? Keep setting goals for yourself. Obviously, you have the long-term goal of overall physique development, gaining the muscle you need, getting in shape for sort of events and things like that, but have mini goals along the way in terms of, okay, I want to grow my glutes a little bit, or I want to get in shape for this holiday, or I want to get lean for a photo shoot, or I want to do a photo shoot in the depths of my improvement phase as a goal for myself in terms of my confidence. Like, all of that is okay. So focus on yourself, block out the noise of others, and you will be so much better off, and you'll probably get better results because you're not distracted by everyone else on social media. Stay in your own lane. If you have a coach, listen to them and do exactly what they say, because it is very easy when you're going it alone to just look at everyone else, try and get inspiration from everyone else, and you end up doing all these random things and not really having a clear outline of what you need to do. Whereas if you have a coach, they can guide you along the process. They can tell you exactly what you need to do. You don't need to worry about what's this person doing, how much cardio is that person doing, how much food are they eating, saving all these what I eat in a day to try and get inspiration. Like, you are guided throughout the whole process. So I think that is really important, that if you do feel overwhelmed with comparison and you don't know what to eat, how to train, what cardio to do, anything like that, look at investing in a coach, because I think that would be a great way to just lift all that decision fatigue off you and stop the burden of just like never knowing what to do. That is my advice for the day anyway. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Holly_Physique Collective. And if you could take a screenshot of this episode, if you enjoy it, share it to your story. I would be very, very grateful as well. Also, we don't have that many reviews on this podcast on your platform that you're listening to. So if you give it a 5-star rating and review, I would be really appreciative. I think there's one review on Apple Podcasts saying I have a nice accent. So thank you to that person who said it. I'm not sure who it was. But yeah, I would really appreciate that as well. And also any topics, any suggestions, any guests you'd like to have on, I am all ears. I'm always looking to have the podcast for you and make sure you get benefit out of it and you get reward out of it. So let me know. And that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I'll speak to you soon.